All right, so we have data here, data with 20 elements, and we're looking to construct a frequency distribution using 6 classes. We're then looking to create a histogram based on that frequency distribution, and then a frequency polygon based on that frequency distribution. So in order to be able to make a frequency distribution, we need to calculate a couple of things. The first thing we need to calculate is something called the class width. Find the highest value in this data, which is 858. Find the lowest value in this data, which is 120. Subtract them to find the range. So 858 minus 120 is equal to 738. Divide by the number of classes, which in this case we were told we need to have 6 classes. That's equal to 123. Now once again, no matter which answer, which number you get, even if it's a whole number, 123, you have to round up to the next whole number. In this case, our class width is equal to 124. I'm going to put this in permanently because it is important. It is something that a lot of us get wrong. The class width is not this difference here. The class width is this difference here. So since we found the lowest value, that means our chart is going to start at that lowest value. And then what we're going to do is add 124 to get the next lower boundary for the next class. And we're going to repeat that. Plus 124, plus 124, plus 124, plus 124, until we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes. And then from there, we'll find the upper boundary for each class. The upper boundary for each class is going to be a plus 123 from the beginning, or one less than the next class's lower boundary. So 120 to 243, and then 367, 491, 615, 739. And since there is no lower boundary for the next class, because this is the last one, this is where we're going to add 123 to get the proper upper boundary for the last class. So now we have to again, what we're doing is making sure that the highest number is going to be placed into a certain class, because this goes up to 863. So we'll go through this data one by one, 312, 164, 768. And as you know, it's a good idea to cross them out as you use them. But we're going to place these numbers into these different classes. For instance, 312 falls right into this class here. Nope, it does not. 312 falls into the second class here because it goes from 244 up to 367. 164 falls into this class over here. .768 falls into the second highest class. All right, 616 up to 739, and repeat this. We will repeat this until we have looked at all 20 entries, and we'll keep a running tally for each class. So it ends up with 7 for the first, 4, 3, 0 for the middle here, and then 4, and then 2. The last thing we need to calculate after this frequency, right? So this concludes our frequency distribution. That's really right here. But we do want to make sure we have one more column, because what we're going to need to do here is calculate the midpoint for each class. Right? The midpoint for each class is going to be these two numbers added together, which I wrote over here. 120 plus 243 divided by 2, and that's going to equal 181.5. 244 plus 367 divided by 2 is going to get you 305.5. The faster way to find all these midpoints is to calculate the very first one right here, and then add the class width 124 to get each subsequent value. And recognizing this lets you get the lower portions. Minus 181.5 minus 124 is equal to 57.5. This is where your frequency distribution is going to begin. 801.5 plus 124 is equal to 925.5. This is where your frequency distribution is going to end. Not frequency, histogram, I'm sorry. Histogram and frequency polygon. So a histogram is going to be the bar model of this data. I want a title, box office totals for Marvel movies. I want a label for the y-axis, frequency. I want a label for the x-axis, which indicates and describes what these numbers mean. In this case, millions of dollars. So then someone can read this and know that this means $181.5 million. And that's how you label your x-axis, a descriptor for this set of numbers. So since we calculated 57.5 to start, that's the first midpoint we'll put in. We'll put in all the other midpoints beyond that and end at 925.5. Your histogram only uses these midpoints here, right? These other up boundaries are for the frequency polygon. So starting with 181.5, this is a frequency of 7. So we'll draw that rectangle and then up to 7. The next category goes up to 4. So we can draw from there a 4, a rectangle going up to 4. And remember, in a histogram, the bars touch, right? So there's a shared side here between these two rectangles. Then we have a frequency of 3. Then we have a frequency of 0. Back up to a frequency of 4. And we finish with a frequency of 2. All right, so then overall, this particular histogram is going to look like this, outlined in red. And then we can kind of shade in the rectangles here to make it look slightly nicer. And that is your histogram. Your frequency polygon are these blue lines here, right? Starting at a 0 frequency at 57.5, ending at an upper frequency of 0 at 925.5. Now we are drawing lines at the middle of each rectangle. Right, we can put a dot at the middle of each rectangle, and that outline in red looks like the frequency polygon.